Hi, welcome to the Alliance for Safe Kids Ask Around Yorktown TV program. Today's guest is Detective Sean Lewis of the Yorktown Police Department, who is in charge of the crime prevention and neighborhood watch programs. I've had the great pleasure of working with Sean for many years when I was on the job with him, and I can tell you that he is a dedicated officer and he works hard to keep our community safe. The Alliance for Safe Kids has joined with the Yorktown Police to co-sponsor the Neighborhood Watch program in our community. We are proud to be part of an excellent community-based program that helps both educates and protects our community. We have just purchased new Neighborhood Watch signs for the police department to be placed around our community as a reminder of the program and to let criminals know that Yorktown is a community that works together to keep it safe. An example of our signs that you currently see now are these plastic ones that the police department's used for many years. The prototype that we have is going to be out, and absolutely will be, the new ones will be in color, and I think you'll really like them. As you see, it has the police department's name on it. It also has the phone number, and the new ones will have that and some other information. So, Sean, listen, I want to thank you first of all and welcome you to our program today. Can you do me a favor and give me a little overview of some of the training that you've had for not only the community programs that we do with Neighborhood Watch and stuff like that, but basically based on what you do up there at the police department? I know you wear many hats.
Art, first I want to say thanks for having me here. It's good to see you. We've worked together for many, many years, right? We're about 30-something years.
It's a long time. You don't need to tell them.
So Art was a police officer up in Yorktown for many years, and we worked together, and we started talking about some of the training and things. And but first, I want to say thanks for the Alliance to Safe Kids. Many programs here in town that we couldn't do together. We couldn't do it at all without the help of you and the police department together. So we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
As far as the training for the Neighborhood Watch, it's really been a fantastic program that's worked well here. It started back, I want to say, in the probably early 60s here in Yorktown.
Yeah.
And it's grown to a whole nother thing with technology and the use of computers and the way our Neighborhood Watch program works. But before I get into that, you'd ask me about the training. A lot of the things I've learned from you. You were a crime prevention officer at Yorktown Police Department for a long time. And Maggie Guinan, a former detective, also a person with a lot of experience. And one of the things that I've learned from all you guys, and also I was a school resource officer at Lakeland High School for a few years.
Yep.
And you know that. And what I learned was when you're proactive in the community, you can make a difference. When you're proactive in the things that you do when it becomes police work, you can make a difference and solve crime, stop crime before it happens. And that's what we're trying to do with the Neighborhood Watch program. We're trying to stop the crime before it happens, or at least train the neighbors and the people in the neighborhood to be looking out for things that can help solve that crime or prevent it from happening. As far as training, it's really been an on-the-job kind of thing. You know, I've just learned as we go, and I've taken that information from Lakeland High School. For example, there was things that were going on in the locker rooms. Kids were getting their wallets stolen and cell phones stolen. They weren't locking things up. Nobody was really taking a proactive approach to trying to stop the crime from happening. It was more like they would come and report it to me and say, hey, somebody stole my cell phone. Somebody stole my wallet. And I'd say, you know, where did you leave it? Oh, I left it on the bench, or I left it inside my shoe. And so we did some things where I went into the boys' locker room, and you know, I found a place where I could stay and watch to see what the problems were. And we ended up catching somebody pretty quickly on stealing some things. But that wasn't good enough. We said, all right, look, let's go into all the classrooms, let's talk with these kids, explain to them, look, you can't leave your cell phone unattended. You can't leave things in your parents' car unattended. You can't be walking out in the streets at night in the dark without expecting, you know, people may come after you or things could go wrong. And we tried to focus on all the things that they could do to be safer. Made sure we had locks in the locker rooms. Made sure people weren't leaving their cell phones laying around where things could happen, and really push that. And that really, then we made such a difference that I said, hey, you know what? If we really push this crime prevention thing, maybe we can make a difference in our community. So that's what we've been trying to do.
Yeah, the Neighborhood Watch program, as you stated, has been around for a while. It's gone in flux. It's changed nationally. It's changed also to a program now that people are involved in many of the communities and has helped the local law enforcement get information before the crime, as you say, has happened, and also information on leading up to some suspicious activities or things like that. So it's a great program for sharing information between people in the community and the police department. Just basically, how many Neighborhood Watch units or groups are there right now in our community?
Well, right now we're probably up to about 15 neighbors or neighborhoods. We're trying to get a little bit more. Community Day's coming up. I always have a table at Community Day, and we ask people to sign up. And first people are a little bit hesitant. They're not sure what it's all about. Right. And it's really a simple program. It's a simple thing that they can get involved in. They don't need to go out in their neighborhood and make everybody sign up for something and force people. It's one of those things where people can get involved if they want to, and if they don't want to, that's fine too.
I think that the structure of it is unique in the sense that you have a block captain that assigns, is the person that would organize the group other than you, that's there constantly. And underneath that block captain, you have individuals that are chosen that if they see something, they call the block captain, unless it's an emergency, of course.
Right.
But they let the block captain know what's going on. And I know that the homeowners associations really like that because it gives them a structured way to get information out to the police department, and not only to the police department, but to the people who live in that community, of that neighborhood, of what's actually going on, which is very important,
Well, the block captain structure, it really is just a point of contact. That block captain is a person really that I stay in contact more often than the rest of the people in the neighborhood. But I kind of change it up a little bit. I'm open to everybody. Anybody in Neighborhood Watch can call me. They can either go through the block captain if they feel more comfortable, or they could call me direct. Another way that we do it is through the internet process, emails. I have an email list, and I think we're probably a few hundred people on that list. So what happens is I'll send out an email that says, hey, look, last night down on Broad Street, we had 5 cars got broken into overnight. Did anybody see anything or anything? And I put it out to everyone, not just the people on Broad Street, because maybe somebody in another group might have been driving through that area, or maybe somebody in another group has a friend that lives in that area, and they may say, hey, look, Detective Lewis gave me a call or sent me an email. Some stuff happened on Broad Street last night between these hours. Did you hear anything, see anything? And you'd be surprised how many people will call and say, hey, look, you know what? I saw this gray car, or I saw these 2 boys running in a certain direction. They had hoods up over their head. And we're able to take that information, pass it on to the patrol officers, or maybe the detective assigned, depending on who it is. And we've been on a string of pretty good luck lately. You watch the papers and see the press releases that come out. Yep. Just this past couple of weeks, there's been a few arrests made with car break-ins. Yeah.
It's funny, the public sees all these CSI programs, and they see about the scientific ends of how to solve a crime, when realistically crimes are solved on the smallest bit of information that comes from the general public, and not necessarily from a scientific review of the evidence. Evidence, of course, plays a large part of it. But that tip or that information that comes back from the general public can sometimes make or break a case. I know you're aware of that, and that's one of the most important aspects of that program. I mean, and I'm sure it has worked for you probably.
Well, we call that good old-fashioned police work. When you can get out into the community and knock on a door and somebody says they saw something, or they can give you a little piece of information that helps you. The problem with our community and many communities today is everybody's out there working, and they jump in their car early in the morning, they go off to work, and then we find out about the crime, we're knocking on the door, people aren't home. Yep. We don't always get the information. With the Neighborhood Watch, you sign up, you know what's going on in the neighborhood at your own pace. When you check your email, you'll know what happened over on Broad Street or Quinlan Street or Route 132 or one of these neighborhoods off of the main roads. And then you can be like, hey, look, I know this is going on in the neighborhood. I can better prepare myself. I remember a case years ago, house burglary in another community, but what happened was the state trooper had notified everybody on the block by putting out a flyer. He took a piece of paper and stuck it in everybody's mailbox, like 30 houses down in either direction of where this house burglary occurred. And when I found out, I was like, well, you know what, that's a really good idea because it lets everybody know, hey, there was a house burglary on the street, happened during, did anybody see anything?
Right.
Similar kind of thing what we do with Neighborhood Watch. We blast out this email to the people that are on the list, and now they can take the information and be like, hey, look, car break-ins are going on. Oh, well, house break-ins are going on. Oh, the police seem to be looking for somebody for this other type of crime.
Right.
And now they know about it at their own pace, and they can look at it. They can call us, get involved if they want to, or not get involved. Whatever it is that they want to do.
I happen to members of the Alliance for Safe Kids do receive these emails by the way, and we do see them, and they have great value because they're not only going out to tell about current things, but actually, and the public should know this, that Sean updates these emails and sends information out on things that are going on in other communities in our area, other crimes that are being committed, crimes of opportunity, and I think he will go into that in a second. And they're very timely and they're very good information. And most of that information is being sent out not only to your list, but also from our list of the Alliance for Safe Kids. So our networking has worked very well on getting this information out, and we just would hope that more people would be interested in joining this endeavor that you guys have done. So,
well, we started this a few years ago with the email list, and it's grown and grown and grown, and it worked pretty well. We got involved with the business community, that, through the Chamber of Commerce, and we started the Business Watch, which is a spin-off of Neighborhood Watch. And it's the same kind of thing. We put out information to all these other businesses. And one of the things that was going on is when there was bank robberies going on, it was about a year or so ago.
Yep.
It was a similar kind of thing. We would let the banks know when things were happening in other banks, in other communities, and they could better prepare themselves. We would let our guys know, hey, listen, there's things going on, and we put extra patrols at the banks. We've done other similar things with other businesses in town.
Right.
Similar kind of like jewelry, all the jewelry stores, we were working on putting that together. So it's a great idea. It's a little bit time consuming trying to get these emails, but once everybody's in the system,
right,
it goes much quicker, it's simple.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do, if we could keep building that list. As far as some of the other neighborhood watch things that we were looking into,
well, you have a formal, and I don't know whether the public knows, when Sean comes and goes to your neighbor, let's say you live in Hunter Brook condos or something, and you get in touch with the juvenile unit, we'll talk about that later, there's an initial meeting that you have with these people. And I know that, and I've been with you at these meetings. They're not vigilantes. They're not being taught to be involved or get personally involved. It's the watchful eye, and it's a lot of that initial meeting or that initial training session is so important when they do come together. And I've seen that happen with you with these programs. You know what I mean?
This is a very safe program. I'm glad you brought that up. Very safe program. We don't ask people to go chase criminals down. We don't ask people to run down the street after anybody. We don't even ask people to patrol their neighborhoods. We have patrol officers. We do the best we can with what we have.
Right.
We ask you just to keep an eye out when you're coming to and from. So if you're on your way to the store, you're on your way to work, you're on your way to pick your kids up at a game, whatever that may be, just be aware of what's going on in your neighborhood. You see a car that doesn't belong on your street, we don't want you to stop, jump out, and have anything to do with the people. But maybe you could make either a mental note or write down, hey, there was a gray Toyota parked in front of somebody's house on the way out. Things like that. The other things that we cover, home security tips, things that you can do to make your house safer. You know, the old list of don't leave your newspapers out when you go on vacation, lock your doors, things like that. But in addition to that, we like to talk about alarms. There's a couple of alarm places here in town that are very good. Locks, good locks. As a detective, I investigated many burglaries, and one of the first things we notice is if you can slow the bad guy down trying to get into your house, that creates enough time that maybe a neighbor sees something and calls us.
Right.
So if you have cheap locks or you don't lock your doors at all, they're in and out of your house, nobody knows anything. But if they have to kick your door or break a window or something to get in, it makes a lot of noise.
Right.
Burglars don't like that. They're moving on somewhere else. Alarm systems, they see the sign, oh, there's an alarm on this house, but the house next door doesn't have an alarm. Which one are they going to go to? It's more likely they're going to go to the house without the alarm. They're more likely to go to a house that's all overgrown where people can't see them. But if it's a house where the approach to the home is visible from other neighbors, then obviously they're going to go to the one that's better suited for them, and they could slither in and slither out, because that's what these criminals do.
It's when you go to school to be a crime prevention officer, I remember, and I know you do, they discuss all of this as part of a target hardening. They making it harder for you to get to commit the crime. Also, there's sections of environmental safety or security that you talk about, as you just said, with the trees and bushes and, placement of alarm signs and things like that. So there's a lot of studying and a lot of stuff goes into this to make sure that, the public gets the information. And it's important that they understand that when we have these meetings. And that's one of the things. Not only do you discuss, from what I understand, current issues, but you're at these meetings, you're updating them constantly on these tips on keeping themselves safe and keeping our community and our kids safe, which is what your goal is in the juvenile unit, as well as the Alliance for Safe Kids. So it's really important. If someone's out there now and who's watching the show today and would like to start a neighborhood watch unit in their community, in their area of our town, how would they get in touch with you? Is there a number? Or?
Yes, there's a number. It's 962-3811. 962-3811.
Okay.
And they can call me. That number goes direct to my desk. Once again, 962-3811. You can call that number. It goes direct to my desk, and I can explain to you what you need to do. I have a little packet that you fill out, and we get it rolling in your neighborhood. It's a pretty simple thing.
I think it's a great program, and I think you work very hard at it. I know that we've had discussions with you with our website, which is allianceforsafekids.org, and you can see our website that we have on there. We have information that we update constantly with you and the police department. That we are, working very closely. That's one of our goals, is to make sure that our community is safe and our kids and everything else. Since 9/11. We've been hearing the phrase, if you see something, say something. It's been a program the Transit Authority had at New York City Police, the Homeland Security, and I think it encompasses what we're talking about today, with this neighborhood watch, crime prevention. And I know that the police department has what's called a tips line that has been used when we have major crimes and situations that take place for information. Can you give me a little tip, a little information about the tips line and how is it working and what's the number they can call and maybe what the criteria is for that?
Well, one of the things that we've learned is we try to keep these things simple. So the phone number is 962-TIPS. Very simple. It's easy to remember. 962-TIPS. Anybody can call it. There's an answering machine on the end of it. Obviously, because we just want to put somebody on it, have a person man this phone all the time. So if there's an emergency, obviously you would call the police department at 962-4141, which is our main number. But as far as the tips, if somebody wanted to just leave some information, hey, listen, maybe some drug activity going on in the area, if they know there's criminals that are up to behavior that they would like to just give us a heads up that it's coming, that it's there, they don't necessarily, they don't need to leave their name, or they don't need to leave their address, telephone number, or anything like that. And we use that information. Let's face it, in police work you need a tip. You need an occasional tip. You need somebody to let you know something that's going on. And that's really what this program program is all about.
If someone now, one of our initiatives that we go through the federal grant that we are on, the DFC grant, with the police department, is that we do underage drinking enforcement, and we do compliance checks with you, and we help, with that program. If someone saw some underage drinking or had something to do with one of our businesses, they could call that too, right?
Absolutely, and we've had that in the past where somebody will call up and they'll say, hey, there's a certain business that likes to sell to underage kids.
Absolutely.
And we're all over it.
Yeah.
We'll bring our underage kids in there. We have agents that work for us, and we try and put a stop rate to it once we know, but we don't always know.
Right.
Lots of times people in the schools and people in the community know things that are going on, and they scratch their head and they say, why doesn't the police department do something about this? Because we don't always know everything.
Absolutely.
And they think that somebody else is going to call. This is what's nice about Neighborhood Watch. You call me, you leave a tip, you can send me an email, you get involved if you want to get involved, you don't want to get involved, that's your choice. A couple of little things I want to add about that. I don't like to put out some information. Like, I may put out just very basic information through Neighborhood Watch because I don't know where the emails go.
Yeah.
And I know people out there may wonder, like, oh, aren't you letting the bad guys know, flipping your hand as to what's going on?
Right.
So sometimes you'll see me put out an email that's very vague and brief, but it sends the message home as to what we might be looking for.
Yeah.
We never put out there, hey, so-and-so Neighborhood Watch person called us and said,
right,
this guy did something. We don't throw you under the bus. We don't put you out there. We keep things to ourselves. You don't have to do this great big Neighborhood Watch program. If you're just a single person in your own neighborhood, you want to give me a call, we put you on your list, and we get that rolling just through one person. It doesn't have to be this whole big Neighborhood Watch thing in your whole neighborhood. Some people like to keep to themselves. Not everybody knows everything about their neighbors. I think it's a great idea. You should at least know the 4 neighbors that surround your house.
Yep.
Where they're going, what they're up to, in a nice way. Like, hey, let your neighbor know I'm going on vacation. Let your neighbors know when you're working and things. So if you see somebody around the house that doesn't belong at a certain time, the neighbor should know to call. Little things like that go a long way. And I think that's a good Neighborhood Watch, being good with your neighbors, knowing what's going on, being friendly with your neighbor.
One of the things that this community has been going through in the last couple of weeks, or actually months, has been a rash of burglaries, both daytime and night, and car break-ins. And you have been on the cutting edge of that, I can tell you, with the emails that have been coming out. So just a quick thing about those things that were happening here in the community.
There's 2 areas that Neighborhood Watch has been really working well here in town with. House break-ins and car break-ins. That's really what Neighborhood Watch is designed for, the things going on in the neighborhood. As far as the car break-ins, just the last couple of weeks, you know what? It's easy for these kids to do. They run out there. People make the mistake of leaving computers, GPS, their wallet, all these things inside their car. They don't lock their cars.
Yep.
You scratch your head and you say, why are you doing this? And they'll tell you, oh, nothing ever happens here in Yorktown. There's a lot of things happening here in Yorktown. And but some information got out as to who was doing them, how they were doing them. And a lot of that came from Neighborhood Watch, and we passed that on to our patrol officers. And patrol officers being in the right place, looking for the right things. I believe just this past week there was 3 people arrested, completely different cases. It's not like the same night, same thing. Breaking into cars, taking things. GPS is the big thing right now. A $200 GPS, they sell that on the street for $25. Most of them, it's drugs they're involved in.
Yeah.
Problem too here in town.
Yeah, absolutely. And
they use that money they get to pay for their drugs.
Absolutely. It's a problem that we're not just, seeing just here. It's all over the communities and around us in this area. I think that the economy and situations are taking place that people are, doing things like this and like drug fueled, or maybe just for the money or whatever it may be. So it's important that as a community we need to work together with you and the police department to let you know what's happening, because it's in our best interest here in our community. Identity theft is also on the increase, which we saw, you and I talked about before. There's a lot of things that can be addressed in just the 30-minute show here. One of the things we want to do is get more information from you on our website on crime prevention tips, so that when people look at our website, they can see that you have sent us a ID program and stuff with that, or whatever it may be that we can do to get that information out into the general public here in town. It's very important. So,
well, you mentioned identity theft. Identity theft is the #1 growing crime across the whole country. The amount of scams that are out there on the internet is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's so many things. And it amazes me how people fall for them. What they'll do is, some of the scams that are out there is they send their like maybe through a email or something that goes out there, and it'll say things like, hey, send me $1,000 and we're going to do this for you. And you think, what idiot would fall for that? But there's always somebody that falls for these different things that are going on the internet, and we're trying to stop that. So
yeah, no, I'm aware of that.
Those things.
Yeah, and not only that, but credit card fraud is the problem too, is stealing the numbers and everying else, So
if it
it's a lot.
Sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's right. It's just like anything else in life. Thank you. I just wanted to take the time to thank you for all your hard work that you put into this program and into our community, and for sharing today all of this important information that we could fit in with 30 minutes. We could do a 2-hour show on probably this. And really, we want to thank you and the police department for their hard work in keeping our community safe. Many people don't realize how hard you people up there work on trying to keep us safe, and also working towards a better community.
We're always trying to do more with less.
That's the way, unfortunately, of the world today, is doing it alone.
Right.
But it is a great programs, and you put your heart and soul into it, and so do the guys that work up there, and ladies.
They do.
They do. They work very hard, and and they should. The public should know that, and that's what this section of the program is known about. What I do.
Well, we appreciate that.
Is to give. Can you really quickly give me the tips number again? What is that?
Yeah, the tips number is 962-TIPS, TIPS.
And your phone number again?
Mine, direct to my desk, 962-3811. And then obviously the police department is 962-4141.
All right, and we're going to be showing that on the graphics when we leave. And you can, for further information or more information about the crime prevention or neighborhood watch, either get in touch with Detective Lewis, or check us out at our website, which is the allianceforsafekids.org. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch the show today, and taking information from here that I hope will help keep you safe and our community safe. So
thanks for having me, Art.
It's a pleasure, always is. Thank you.
It's a long road for you and me. It's a long road that I can see. How does it feel when you find out your love is real? It's a long road for you and me. It's a long